So, thank you so much. Okay. 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 Yeah, I think we are live. We're good to go now. So without wasting too much time, so thank you everyone for joining us today. This is another episode of the To You Experience, and we have a very important guest with us today. His name is Alfred Okosun. So he's not someone new; he's already a household name, right? For some of us that have been watching the program, I've introduced him more than twice, but I'll introduce him again, so that you guys will know him again. So he was my boss when I started my career as a young graduate from school, right? I joined the global organization and he was one of the leaders then that actually groomed me into who I have become today, part of the people that added to my life. And I used to always say this, when I moved to the States, he was the person, actually the main person that called me from Nigeria to say, okay, if I know there's this new program, AWS, jump into it, it's going to help you. And I did. I just included it as part of my plan, and here I am today. But before saying a lot about Alfred, or before I allow Alfred to introduce himself, I want to do a special shout out to our mothers out there, because today is Mother's Day, right? And I would ask some questions relating to mothers in the midst of our career talk, right? Just to make it, you understand, some basic questions, just to help mothers understand that they actually hold the home together. Yes, because I need them to understand who they are. So, but notwithstanding and without wasting too much time, I want to welcome our guest today. His name is Alfred Okosun. I would have actually done like a rumble to clap and welcome him, but yeah, Alfred Okosun, welcome again. Thank you for joining us again. It's a pleasure to have you. It's an honor to have you, sir. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself just briefly so that our guest, people listening will get to know you again.
Hi guys, my name is Alfred. Thank you for having me again, Obi. It's always a pleasure to turn up here, and I'm always excited to share experience, to also learn from other people's experiences. So it's great to be here. My name is Alfred. Like Obi said, we're colleagues and worked on several projects together. I'm happy for this initiative to share experiences, to build other people's comfort around what we experience every day, and pick up some learnings where we can where we get a chance to grow. So this is my third time here, and it feels like the first anytime. So thank you again, Obi. Thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day to every mother out there. You're special. Please know it. Today is for you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much for that special shout out. And I want to say a special shout out to my mother, my sisters, and everyone out there, and to your wife, Alfred Okosun, your wonderful wife.
Thank you.
I think I had the opportunity to meet her twice when we were walking back home. Yeah. And recently I saw a TikTok video of her and you dancing to a special song. So thank you so much for joining. So today, I remember I said to some of our listeners and some of our viewers that if they guessed what we'll be talking about today, they will hopefully be our next guest. I don't think anybody got it because I didn't divulge any information concerning what we'll be discussing today. So today we'll be talking about project management and other forms of career movements. And we'll just go back and forth. because Alfred is a seasoned professional. So he would take his time to explain certain things. But before I get into the main discussion of the day, I would ask him some basic questions so that we have an understanding of what project management is all about. So I'll just ask him, who is a project manager? That's my first question.
Thank you, Obi. I think anybody is a project manager. So not necessarily someone who works in an office or carry a big badge. Whether you're baking a cake or you're making ice cream for the family on the hot summer, or you're making anything, you're cooking, for example. You're a project manager. So to moms, for example, if I have a baby and I need to plan out the formula for the young baby, I need to know the number of diapers we need, and I plan them out. I don't wait to rush. I go out and I get all of that ready. And when we need them, we make sure that we're able to utilize them. So the customer at the end of the day, who is the baby, is excited. That is project management. As much as any mother who would cook for the family and make sure they're happy, from planning on what to cook into having to make the meal, getting what you need to make the meal, the ingredients, the stuffs you need to make the meal, and being able to cook it and deliver to the family so they can have a great breakfast or lunch or dinner. Happy. That is project management. So bringing it to professional settings, we have people who manage businesses, who manage deliveries rather for businesses. So, and then they have a way to plan out what they want to deliver. So like I'll say, the PMI, or the Project Management Institute today in Massachusetts, which has become a de facto standard for project management globally, set out rules, standards, guidelines, procedures that will guide individuals who manage projects in business settings to follow through to deliver in a manner that would be compliant, that would be ethical, that would help sustain the business, in which case drive governance, and also meet key deliverables or key points to the company. And that will be to meet the scope of the project, to meet the timeline defined for the project, to meet the quality of the project, to make sure that the cost which is assigned for that project, the project is delivered within that cost. And that's a project manager. That person who sits somewhere and makes sure he coordinates all this is a project manager.
Yeah, thank you so much. You actually brought words out of my mouth, because the next question was going to be about mothers and how they relate project management to the home. And you just answered that question. So I'll let that slide. Hopefully, before the end of our conversation, I ask again something relating to our mothers. So in relation to your definition, where you talked about scope, are there cases where a project manager actually goes beyond the scope of the project? And when that happens, how do they manage a project to go back to what has been agreed on? I mean, I'm talking about the scope now. So if they go past the scope and they get it to who they are trying to deliver that project to, and the person says, okay, fine, this project is outside our scope and this is not what we agreed. Please, can you go back to what we agreed and all that? So how do they manage such things?
Okay, but wouldn't it feel great for you to ask for 5 and you get 8?
Yeah.
You think you'll feel great, right? So someone asks that, well, we wish that you build us a robot that can just sweep the floor, and then they deliver a project, they deliver a robot, the project manager delivers a robot that can not only sweep the floor, but that can mop the floor, that can cook for you. Wouldn't that be great? It
would be great.
Yes, but however, that is not project management practice. All right, that's not the standards in project management. So for project manager, just like you asked, how do you cope when you have a scope to deliver, and then you have to walk through it. So before I would say that, I wanted to draw attention, especially for the sake of the professionals listening, that there are two methodologies to deliver projects. In the old time, they've been what is called waterfall. So waterfall is saying that, well, whatever I want to do, I first plan it. I plan it from the beginning to the end. I have not done anything. I'm going to spend a significant amount of time to make sure I plan. And planning is big for that project manager in that space of waterfall. And that is the style, that is the method in that space. So I want to build a house, for example. I'm going to plan the number of sticks and the woods and the blocks and the cement and the sand and the gravels and the stones and the water we will need to make that project work. That's waterfall. However, more recently, you have agile methodology, which is saying, well, you don't have to plan everything to the end. Just take that big whole kind of boulder, cut a small chunk, and if you're able to work with that chunk, just plan it, that little part. So that one you want to do, just plan out what you want to deliver for the next 10 days. So if a project is going to last for 2 years, in the waterfall, you plan what you will deliver in the next 2 years. And until you're sure of it, you will not go ahead. And when you're sure of it, you're going to lock it down and nothing changes that plan unless you assess it. With waterfall, we only plan what we want to do for the next 10 days. So and then as we go, when we achieve it, oh great, we'll go for the next one. And I'll show you now, waterfall is useful mostly when you develop software solutions. It is very great. You find it used mostly in such spaces where people are using it and you're making changes. However, people won't live in a house while you're building. You have to finish building and deliver everything before. So looking at these two types of methodology, then begin to say, okay, what would be essential? Now, remind me the question again. I think I
going beyond the scope.
Now, so going beyond the scope would be, is it waterfall or is it agile? So in waterfall, for example, if someone has asked that just deliver bake me a cake with chocolate cream. You now whip chocolate cream and vanilla cream. You're doing too much. First, you've not checked if that person likes vanilla cream.
Yeah.
Even given that vanilla cream is popular, you think it's healthy, they may have allergies to it. They may not want it. Number three, even if they like it, they may also have the impression that you have overspent their money in delivering something that they never asked for. So PMI standard or Project Management Institute standard is saying, please, when you agree with the project manager, deliver on the scope. And you don't just deliver on the scope like, ta-da, here's your cake. Ta-da, here's your food. Or here's your house. Here's the bridge you asked us to build. You carry when you define the scope, it's not just going to be one statement. As you deliver on each one of them, you call the owners, the stakeholders, the people who would use them at the end of the day. You're cooking, for example, you want to get them to begin to taste at this stage. I've added some salt. Can you taste? Do you like this flavor? Do you like this? As you continue to add and build up on it, you carry your stakeholders along. So there are no surprises when you get to the end. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would have want. So okay, fine. Let me just move to something else again. Right. So I know that there are a lot. We're talking about project management today, and there are a lot of professionals listening to us. Which basically sometimes people are stuck in one place, and they are looking at trying to, you understand, glide into something else. So the question here will be that, what is it about taking up new career challenges like a switch? So what is that psychological effect? What comes to mind when someone is switching from probably, say, a doctor to becoming a project manager? So, I mean, you understand, in general, what happens in the mind of a person when they are going through that switch?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think everyone, like I mentioned earlier, is a project manager. Whatever you do, you've actually been building your experiences. It's just you haven't been following maybe the guidelines, the standards, the processes that have been defined to deliver projects. Following those guidelines actually helps you remove waste, for example. Waste is not only wasting resources like physical resources. Waste can even be wasting resources like time. You can deliver to time and all that. So if someone wants to switch from what they have considered as a core competency or core career path into project management, I think the first thing is even to find their passion in that space. What then do they want to do? Within project management, there are several roles that springs up. You could find somebody who is a risk manager.
Yeah.
So am I someone who loves to attend to risk, really? Is there something about risk that I love to want to think about, find the root of that risk and find something to solve it? Or is there's a business analyst as well, who just go about talking to people who you want to deliver the project for, whether directly or indirectly, and trying to find out what they would gain, what they need in that project, and what they would not like. And then use that to build a requirement list that helps you define, or help the project manager defines the scope. Yeah. So it's that requirement that the business analyst will put together. So first thing I think is what's your interest, first of all. So you want to be, some people think they want to lead. So I think the big thing they know is the project manager. So when I see it and I begin to schedule, so what's your passion spot? So if you love meeting with people, for example, the business analyst role gives you a chance to coordinate a lot of people just to know what they want, what their requirements are toward a project, and help clarify it. Because some users may tell you they didn't like something, but they want something, but really they don't like it, or they don't need it. Yeah. So you find projects where people think something is in trend, for example, where I heard about this software, they're using it in the competition environment or in the company. I went to see a friend there and they're using this software. I think we need it. Well, maybe the person likes how it worked there. Yeah. Is our environment a fit for it? Do we need it at this point? Do we even need it at all? Do we have something that's already meeting that? So those are things that you want to clarify with the users in terms of building your requirements, so you can move that into a scope.
Yeah. Okay. So there are some people that are moved by how much they're going to get monetarily. So what do you say to such people? I mean, we've had this conversation, and that's why I'm actually trying to bring it. I mean, if you could just touch a bit on that, where people move careers or switch careers because of the monetary gain. Is that the right way to go, or is that an emotional way to go? I don't know how to put it, but
in my personal opinion, I think it's an emotional, it's emotionally driven.
Yeah.
I think no one enjoys working in a chaotic environment, and like I've always seen it, I think where you work is where you spend the most of your useful time every day. So when we say we have a family, I think we have two families. One is the work family, one is the family we have left at home. The family you spend the significant portion of your time every 24 hours with is the family at work. Because when you wake up in the morning, some of the time before they wake up, you're out. Unless, well, until COVID now that a lot of people work from home. You're out in the morning early and you get back tired by night. Yeah. You barely have any significant interaction between that time until you go to bed. And then that happens as a routine Monday through Friday for many years in your life. So looking at the part around where what could be a driver, if you find, like me, I think I learned this from the mentor. If you find comfort in the workplace, it should be a great thing than the money. So I think the work culture in any workplace should be a first driver. Then your passion for it. I think we mentioned this sometime before. Tiger would work so hard just to hit a ball in the hole, very hard. And it makes it very extra hard to make all the money. Just take a stick and hit the ball in the hole, and that's all. And he knows how to. It just goes there and he hit it, and that's it. And it's happy, and he gets paid really well. It's something he loves. So where's your passion, first of all? if you find your passion, then find where it fits in any of the career space. I used to teach project management class that provides up to, I think, is it 40 hours to professionals, and I've had nurses in the class coming to study for project management, and the experience, accountants, for example, and the experience is they see how they have been project managers all the while. It's just understanding what the standards are that are set out and being able to use them, especially by the PMI.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So about your classes, even though that's not about your classes, do you still do your classes?
Well, on availability, yes. I've actually been busy with my academics, but usually I'll put together a class of 10, and we'll walk through the PMI standards for project managers, and eventually, when we finish that, my students will go out and take the PMP certification exam, and it's been a successful ride. Through this, we get to learn. Why I love to put together that class is just the diversity we get from. So people coming from a government workspace, those working in private firm or in different sectors, having different experiences, just sets it up for the class. So the class has been helpful to share experiences from different spaces in project management.
Yeah, so I remember when you actually you linked me up with a class of project management back home in Nigeria, and when I saw that we'll be applying some project management principles at work. Unknowingly to me, when we got to that class, we got to do like a few minutes test, and I found out that it was basically what we're doing in the office that applies to project management principles in general. That was a few years ago. But from that time till now, I mean, there have been growth in project management and project development roles, and people with minimal experiences in this are hoping to try such. What do you think? And what's your best advice in relation to then and now?
Okay, there've been so much changes in the space pre-COVID, just before COVID, and then with COVID. So after COVID, a lot changed about how people work, how people interact. So, and that's beginning to influence how services are delivered to people. So much of Agile had started long before now. Probably about 10 years from now, about a decade now. But it became, the services were now being moved a lot more into software spaces. Software meaning I don't need to be there in person. I can receive the service through a platform. So over on my phone, for example, you can find people get medical services. Before now, you have to visit the doctor. Yeah. So now, with all of those technologies coming up, someone has to build them. And that's where, when you talk about the project manager, Agile is further fast-tracked in that space, where much of the services are beginning to move out of the building and then into the palm of the users. So, as such, the drive for Agile methodology is over the roof right now. So if Agile was growing at the trajectory, now it's a lot higher now. So in which, why I say that is, given that a lot of project managers have worked in the last, it's for so many years, last maybe 5 decades or more, professionally using waterfall, and in the last decade or more using Agile, you find more Agile projects now springing up, given the demand for services that are digital, mostly in the cloud. So with that said, anyone looking to build their experiences, or anyone within the field, first of all, I think those within the field need to continuously build their learning, their capability. Yeah. If you stay out of project management for a little while, it won't be long before you begin to hear new words. New things are coming up, so you need to catch up with all of that. So a lot has changed. Loads more Agile projects coming in, and in which case it goes without mentioning that project managers then need to build their capability to deliver sprints, for example. So if you need to run your projects, how are you going to run them in sprints? How you want to scale? If you deliver a project, how do you want to scale it when the customer says they want to scale it? We have, for example, a food ordering app like DoorDash. And then the customer has left a complaint or there's a bug somewhere and you've delivered the project. Yeah. The project never ends because you continuously have to evolve what they have based on customer needs and demand. Yeah. I hope that answered it.
That's a question. So, there's something that I saw then when we were studying for project management back home in Nigeria. SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any way you can like show just a shallow light on that? Okay. And the reason why I brought that up was because it just popped up somewhere.
Yeah.
I see that question. Yeah.
Okay. So someone has asked software development lifecycle. So I'll tell you quickly. Within that lifecycle, remember I tried to put the project management in a low term, like you're cooking or you're baking. So if I want to develop a software, for example, I think, for example, I need to understand what users need. Like I mentioned earlier, users' needs are not often what they blot out, what they say, what users say. Some of the time, some are wishful. So it's still good to know what is essentially needed and what is nice to have. And on the space of that, given the technology capability at the time. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So for example, we have AI, and within AI, there's machine learning. So I want to deliver a project, and I know people are talking a lot about AI and machine learning. So machine learning is more like I collect a lot of data, and then you have machine learning models that would go in and analyze that data and look out for what I've asked them to look out for that are common, and then begin to predict what happens next. If a software don't need that at this time, and the customer is talking about, well, the other software I use matches it. It's a good thing to look at that now, but it may not be essential to deliver it. So within that life cycle, we begin to plan that software design. When it is planned, it's also great that beyond just planning what happens on the back end of the software, what the users don't see. What the users see are just a bunch of icons to tap on the phone, especially. A lot of stuff, if you realize, I'm moving from the desktop environment to the phone. So much of those softwares are no longer coming in the space, like they're hosted on your browser, what you see, HTML. But a lot more happening in the back end, and so we see things happening on the phone, and that's where user UX and UI comes in to build something. And it has to also match what the users have put forward together. So within that life cycle, it takes us from either being able to collect what the users need into designing something that we think will match their needs, being able to test it within the team, and then get a bunch of users as well to test it afterwards. So if within the team we test it, we're testing it and reflecting back on what the users have said they want. How would we get what they want? Remember I said the business analyst role is to go and talk to the users and translate what they said they want into requirements, and we'll move that into scope. Yeah. So within that space, the user, we build all of these for the users to test. And while the users test it, we can go live. In an agile environment, as we go live, we switch it on for users to continue to use, and we can continue to build on the capabilities. Okay. So over time, you would see that in spaces like your Gmail. There are times you open up your Gmail and you see something new has come up, or you turn on Instagram and you notice there's a new icon somewhere that wasn't there before. The team have been working on it at the back end of it, tested it, have a few users test it as well, and then before they move it into a live environment.
Yeah. So you said something about not just capturing what the customer wants, what the stakeholder wants, but also certain things that the customer didn't necessarily say.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say that comes at some level of professionality, some level of growth.
Absolutely.
For you to capture some of the inexpressive comments from the customer in relation to what they want. So how can new project managers grow their capabilities and competency in the field to capture such um, um, feedback or expressions from customers that are not necessarily said, but also captured in the scope of the project?
Three things are big for me. Experience is one. The second one is an open mind. An open mind will allow you to imagine beyond, no rigidity. Everything is possible. Let's just imagine it. Let's just imagine it. So it's possible. And then from my imagination, I want to be able to check if we have the capabilities for it. That's number two. And I think the third one is being, so that open mind allows you to also interact with the customers and pick what they say and go back and also check what happens. So in which case you want to research. So so that's the third one. I want to research. The capability to go find out is the third one. So there are resources to find out. You can check on Google, you can check on YouTube, for example, you can speak with other people, you can check on forums. Just look out, type in anything on YouTube or on Google search relating to what that specific requirement is. And then you begin to see where people who like you have had such an experience before. So, and then the first one, which I mentioned, experience, I think it's important that those who want to try something can look out for, try something in project management, can look out for opportunities to, would the word be give back now? So you don't need to be employed in the space to get that experience. You want to talk with those who do it. You want to walk into their space and see how they do it. You want to also get feedback as a way to build your experience. You want to share their own experience. And even like we talked today, this forms part of people's experiences today as we discuss this. So some might be able to connect with what we say, as what they experience, to either validate where they have doubts, or we can connect with what they have thought of and they were not sure. So for project managers, for example, who like I say, a project manager wears many hats. So if today you deliver a project in finance and you're asked to pick up a project while you're done and you deliver that brilliantly, the previous project, you're asked to pick up a project in healthcare. Can a project manager function? So all the while you did the finance project, you worked a lot with finance people. So you understood what they say about profit and loss and all of that. Now you're moving to medical space. It's going to be a different language. So you want to learn, you're going to build your experience there. You want to open your heart to learn new things. Like a child, learn new things, learn something new. And then you're mostly coordinating and guiding what we have for you there.
Yeah. So I could relate this to even service management, where you, a customer or a client, whatever, actually reports a case. And based on experience, you would look at the case. In some cases, you don't really know how to resolve that issue. Then you come back, that's where you research. There's one other thing you said, experience, research. There's one thing you said again.
Open heart, open mind, open your heart.
So experience, so because you have an open heart, you understand, talk to the customer, ask questions, not be restrictive, saying that, oh, because this is what I think it is, then it is this. Because in some cases, there might be some resulting effect somewhere that you're not privy to. So if you have an open heart, you tend to be able to capture those other things outside what you think, Then you go back and ask, like we'll come back and you'll be seated, I'll come and ask you, Alfred, this person has this issue. How do you think we can do this kind of thing? You understand? Or if you're not there, because most times you're actually on a project, I have to sit down, research, or ask my other colleagues. So this comes in, would I say, enveloped form, where these are things you need to imbibe as a project manager. And not just within the project management space, but in other professions, because like Alfred said, everybody has, there's some relationship with project management in any sphere that you cover. So my question, my next question will be, what it would be like, I want to ask you, what skill sets are important to develop as a project manager? And I'll ask you that in relation to someone that is not holding the title project manager. So one is the person holding the title. The second question is for someone not holding that title, someone that doesn't really know that what they are doing on a day-to-day basis is actually project management. So what skill sets are important for these two sets of people?
Okay. So first off, everybody's a project manager. Every human, whatever you have to get ready to go to school. You have to get ready to go to work. You wake up, all of that you begin to plan. I'm going to finish this and I'm finishing that. And when I'm done with this, as long as you're going to come up with the finish, at the end of the day, we're finishing something. You go to school from beginning and I end up with a degree. I plan to cook. I plan to cook first. I write a list to go to a grocery list, right? To go to the market with. And I get the list and then I prepare what I want to do. Like I chop the onion and get the salt and get everything ready. And then I put them to cook. And now I have food on the table. Finish. So as long as I'm going to finish with something, that's a project. However, those who are not professional project managers, what skill set would they need? I think, first off, there are loads of them. So I'll put them into functional and leadership. You should be able to engage people. Those people you meet on the project are called stakeholders. So those stakeholders, they don't need to be the ones paying for the project. So if you're going to build a bridge, you're going to build a new road. We have a road coming into the city, and that road is bad. The government have just allocated the project, and you're employed as a project manager. The person who is selling on the street is a stakeholder. When you start to build the road, we need to make sure that person is sorted out because we don't want either, for example, bad press or bad image that there was an injury to someone, to a beggar on the road while we were working. We need to find a way to relocate that beggar. And I think I've taken it to an extreme in one of my classes when I asked that when we go to build a bridge, for example, in some cultural settings, you go to build a bridge in Nigeria, for example, and you get to some cultural settings and you're told that by the villagers that you need to appease the gods of the water before you get cement into that water. The gods of the water is a stakeholder. And I defended it before the PMI. In Massachusetts. And I say, we need to make sure everybody, every stakeholder is satisfied. So I think someone challenged that when someone who worked on the project in Nigeria built a bridge and they said they had, and when we got to the point, he saw the challenge they had. They could not even move further until they provided what the villagers have asked for to appease the gods. And that became a project resource. Let's get it. Let's get there. Whatever they've asked for this number of materials to appease the gods. They've asked that on Saturdays you cannot work because those are on the special day on the Saturday, the fourth Saturday of the month is the day we go to sacrifice to our gods. That is a key stakeholder in that project, and that project will not be successful if we don't please that stakeholder.
That's true.
You see that? So you want to learn to engage. Beyond just engaging, you even need to learn to identify your stakeholders. I think that comes first. So those are maybe your leadership skills. You want to learn budget management. You want to, so you don't go to the market to shop for grocery for a project of cooking a nice Nigerian jollof rice, for example. And when you get there, you wrote a list beyond the money in your pocket. A decent mother goes to the market with a plan that when I get there, I want to buy this, and the money is in her purse. She gets to the market. So, and that is you managing your project within cost. When she gets there, she's not going to say, well, give me this. If you go to an open flea market, for example, she won't go in and say, give me $2 or $2 worth of fish. She's going to ask, how much is that fish? And you say, it's $10. And she says, can I take it for $1? And so you negotiate. And so that, and you begin to see where procurement comes in as professionals to help you negotiate your cost. Because part of your goal as any decent mother going to the market to shop for grocery to cook on the project is to make sure I come back home with all the goods and at least, or at my best interest, some savings. So, and when you deliver as a project manager, you need to also learn, learning what cost management is you being able to want to manage your budget, understand where to bring in procurement, even into human management, resource management. So people are going to come in the project with different capabilities, with different personality styles. Some you don't need to lack, but we must maintain one common vision, and that is the delivery, the project goals, or the delivery of those goals of the project. So when we begin to work toward delivering that project, when we begin to work to deliver that project, you need to build all of that capability. You need to know how teams are going to have differing opinion, and at some point, such differences or animosity could get in the way to deliver the goal, or they could slow us down. Remember, we're running against time. We're going to build a rocket that takes us to space. We have a timeline. They've set out the date that the astronauts will be ready and the date of flight. So nothing stops us. So if someone, for example, is sick, you are the project manager, you should worry about that person. Someone is going to get married, someone found love. You need to make sure they are happy to deliver, especially when it gets in the way of. So beyond all of that, I need to learn. You learn to manage people. So human resources doesn't come by, or managing people don't come. You have to learn to manage people and all of that. So beyond all of that, I think would see the project manager who will be able to juggle across people. And the big one is the big one among those stakeholders may even be the person who's sponsoring you. So the sponsor of the project at some point needs to understand what you're doing. So the sponsor don't need to reason at your level. So if you reason at an IQ of 1,000 and the sponsor reasons at 10, an IQ of 10, you need to come to the level of IQ of 10 to help the sponsor understand what you're doing, especially in waterfall, so that your approvals, because you're told you're given a project of $1 million. The $1 million is not in your personal account. Each time you want to deliver each space, you need to go back to the sponsor. So without providing any feedback to the sponsor, it's going to be difficult for him. So as you go along, you also learn to communicate. So those who need to know early, they should know early. There are some people, if they get to know about certain things, they may slow you down. So you need to know who needs to know about what and when. You see that? So there's a lot to learn within that space. So what the PMI or the project managers have done with the project management professional, the PMP certification, is to provide that knowledge that you need around that space. So who then, maybe you're expecting me to say, well, maybe you need to study maths or some level of engineering. No. But the key areas, the core areas within project management, which will be resource management, for example, communication. You need to know how to manage time. Managing time is not well looking at your wrist and saying it's before 4, let's go. No, being able to know how to allocate time to tasks so that they can be delivered within that space. And you don't need to know it by, well, a stone or a mirror or crystal ball, but being able to break tasks into little parts and then engage people and understand what time they need and negotiate, and then all of that put together.
There's so many things you said. One of those things you said was, I mean, you asked them, who is the gods here? You understand? It's part of the stakeholders. You have to appease gods.
You have to appease them. Necessarily. It's not for the books, but you have to appease them. Absolutely.
Man, that's so. I've never, something. I've never heard that in any professional discussion that I've had in all my existence. I have never had where, you understand, where even that applies. While you were talking about it, I thought about it, and yes, it does apply. There are some places you go to and you will never have access to anything.
It happens in cultural settings. Go to Dubai, there are days you can't deliver a project. So on those days, you need to talk with stakeholders to work. So it's a Friday and you want to go deliver, you have project deliverables on Friday.
Yeah.
It's the day they pray. You go to India, for example, you want to deliver something and they tell you, well, there are vegetarians in this community. So if part of what you feed your people is to expect to bring beef to them, how do you do that? So you need to learn to talk to the gods. Today is the day we want to talk to Buddha. You can't be out, and you have to, those are key stakeholders.
Yeah.
You need to engage them. You don't need to believe in them. You just need to put them in your plan as a project manager. Yeah. And this is mostly for either waterfall, mostly, or even agile, or even a hybrid of it. Yeah. You get to do them. You definitely would have to.
Yeah. As funny as that sounds, that's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Without you closing that out, the project will not even start.
Absolutely.
And there's another thing you said, where you said a project manager doesn't necessarily need to know everything. Let's say you're working with construction engineers, you have civil engineers, you have building engineers, and you're just a project manager. Maybe your first degree is in psychology, but you just fell into the space of becoming a project manager. Basically, what you said is to communicate and know how to manage these different individuals. That's what leaders do anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then there's another thing. Okay, let me even leave that. What influences you? Because I know that you've held so many positions even as an IT manager and also as a project manager. So what influences your decision as a project manager? I mean, you said everything in general, but I'm talking about you personally, because I have seen how you manage these projects that you've handled, the ones that I've seen, not after we left, but the ones that I have seen how you manage both the people. I mean, we said it in our last meeting, you just said, okay, fine, guys, let's get shawarma. We're doing a project. Probably we're deploying IPT telephony, or I don't know, maybe it was based on the fact there was one time Main One, I think Guinness were trying to do something with Main One, and they were trying to get the cable from the street, and I think they were repairing the street at that time, and they cut the cable, and there was no network in the whole building. I remember that period. I remember times when folks would stay back in the office till the next day in the server room. So I remember so many projects, both operational. I mean, when it becomes operational, it's now a day-to-day activity. But before deploying that, and even in the process of using that whole project delivery, there have been cases where things become so intense and you start making jokes with everybody. We'll start laughing, right? Even though we are spending nights together, we'll spend the night, we'll eat food from the canteen, we'll sit down, we'll laugh, then we'll go back to work. So you personally, that's why I'm asking you. I have other people, I'll ask you this question when I get to speak with Mr. Abayo, I would ask him that question again. So what, is it that you guys learn something differently that we don't know, where you tend to want to make everybody feel okay? Or is that a psychological move on the people deploying the project to make them feel okay, fine? I mean, it's not that bad. Even though it's bad, but it's not that bad. Let's just still be happy and be killing ourselves. Right. So what influences your decisions?
I think first off is that no matter how chaotic it is, eyes remain on the goal. The goal is to make sure that services delivered to a specific place, the goals of the project are met, the tasks were called out, the scope were called out, we deliver them brilliantly, not just delivering them brilliantly. And delivering them brilliantly will be in what areas? For example, when you deliver and the customers are happy. Imagine a mother makes a very nice pot of soup and the family eats it. She's going to feel very elated, very happy. That's how we want to feel when the project is delivered. So it is the smiles on their faces, which is the payment we receive, which is the currency that keeps us running. That's our fuel. So we're hungry, first of all, to deliver this. So what then drives us in the space of that work where we're able to, for example, take on that chaos and block it from slowing down the team? So the project manager, again, just like you said, has to stand between the stand the gap between the team and the noise. You want to keep the noise away from the team. The noise is what distracts the team. If the team gets to go through the project and see the troubles there, it might dampen the morale. Motivation begin to drop. So first, you want to be able to connect first with everybody individually. I think that works for me when I connect with people individually than as a group. So we sit in the group, but within the group, there are people who don't feel very good.
Yeah.
There are people who probably have low moments coming from some. It's not a function of the team. They have low moments. So are you connecting with that? For example, are you finding out how that person is unable to have a shower this morning because they lost their rent, or you're focusing on the deliverables? So are you able to sense that? So some of these are mostly emotional intelligence. You're able to sense the feeling within the space, within the room, and see when energy is getting lower, is getting dampened, is washing away, and you want to block all of that. Within that, you're also taking, so all the heat that comes, for example, from the top of the building. So you know what I mean? It doesn't bring it down to the team. We don't even know. It's when you get to the office own space and you begin to ask him, and you see he's feeling low. Okay, come on, let's go out for lunch or something. And you see, well, there's a lot. So within the project, within that space of project management, the project manager is the one that takes take it for the team. A good one, in my opinion, will not throw the team under the bus. I've seen where teams. So I think we've talked mostly about the successful part. At some point, we should also talk about the not too successful. Have we delivered the project? For example, when we did the data center refurbishment, and then we plan to work from Friday to Sunday. So at about 6 p.m., we had to shut down all the systems within the buildings in Lagos, and hoping to start by 9 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, we're going to start this time, and then we'll move into Saturday. Energy was very high on Friday night.
Yeah.
We walked through, but that data center has not been refurbished for more than 20 years. New technology in cabling has come up. At that time, there was Cat 6, category 6 cabling, for example, in copper cable, physical cable. There was the fiber too that have come on in. Lots of those fibers were too old that as soon as you shake them within the tray, they're breaking. What were we going to do? We walked until Sunday. By Sunday evening, morale was near zero. Now it was burnout. People were tired. We've called out for reinforcement. It was more like a war zone. We've called out for reinforcement, but the reinforcement were low. Number two, you have to spend time to take them through what we're doing to bring them up to speed. And boom, it was Monday. We were only 66% done. And the part of the building that didn't have any network connection was even upstairs. You had the C floors, for example, the MDCO's floor, HRO floor. All of those floors were just all out of network. So what were we going to do then? It wasn't about the team. We first of all, we missed it at the risk. In planning out that risk, we didn't see that burnout coming. We planned the good side. So when that happened, would it be the team? No. The project manager should have seen it up front.
Yeah.
So when they came and, oh, why are we not? I failed. But we need to do something now. So quickly, if you remember, we quickly took internet. We will take internet boxes quickly. So those floors, get everybody, let's get them connected. And when we were supposed to finish on Sunday, we finished on Tuesday morning, 100%. But when we were done, it made our lives easy. Whenever there's an outage, you could spot you could spot the port in the data center from the person's floor, whatever floor that person was in the building, whatever space the person was, you could spot that connection from that point onward. So it made life a lot easier going forward. So there are the times you have good times and they're not too good times. So a project manager also, part of that motivation is being able to take it for the team.
Yeah. Taking fire for the team. Yeah, I remember a lot of times when it comes down hard. You understand? And
you have to look foolish for the team. And then also for the team's development as well. Are you challenging the team to grow themselves? Do you have knowledge in this area? Are you asking the team to share knowledge they have? Are you pushing them? Are you pushing new learning or learning resources and opportunities to the team so they know? Some project managers just keep it well. I think if they know it, they will know too much. Knowledge is never too much for anybody. Open it up, let everybody go to learn.
Yeah. And when you open it up, it actually opens up, opportunities for them to occupy other roles.
You have an A team, actually.
Yeah. So it leads me to my next question. Are there other roles within project management for anyone with interest in the field? Are there other roles within project management for anyone with interest in the field?
There's a business analyst role. I think I mentioned that earlier. The business analyst role is a beautiful one. So if you're new to project management, you can go to pmi.org. That's projectmanagementinstitute.org. It's a good place to find resources about project management. And then when you begin to learn about that, you can then want to get credential just to show you have learned something, but you have the knowledge of it, but that doesn't tell the experience. So you also need to go build your experience. So there's the risk management, for example. There's within that project management, there's a space called the PMO, or the project management office. And that's just going to be someone who's going to help strengthen the team, in my words. Strengthen the team, make sure they are up to speed in their learning, make sure they are up to speed in the process, make sure they have access to resources that will support them to deliver, and then put them to check. So sometimes when the project begins to go beyond scope, go beyond cost, is somebody calling the team and say, are you what? Even the project manager, sometimes you get so busy, you don't know you have exceeded some time. So the PMO, for example, can help. So some people within and trust me, there's also the operations part of it. And that operations part is actually at the end of the project. Yeah. So take note, when you do a project, what happens to the product? Because project is going to deliver a product. What happens to the product afterward? The project don't manage it. The project manager would hand it over to somebody.
Yeah.
So that person you want to hand it over to needs to know about project management, needs to understand what to look up for and ask for when they hand it over. So they can continue from where the project manager stops, and then the project manager can go look for another project to deliver. And that becomes operations. So within technology, for example, there's IT operations and management, there's service delivery. So there are lots of capabilities and roles that you can build within that project. And within project management as well, there are supporting roles. There are people within I think a lot of people have been in project without knowing. So if you're supporting the project, for example, you are in that project. So the project manager is going to talk to you about these and asking for, you are in the project, you're a project resource in that project. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are lots of roles that just intertwine within project management. And but whatever anyone wants to do, I think my sincere advice is just something you find passion doing. It's not going to come, but you just think about what you enjoy doing. Some people, I see some shy people, and you ask them, what do you enjoy? What are you studying? Say mass communication. Why are you studying? Say I like to work in a news TV station. Really, why? You say I enjoy talking to people. But how many people have you spoken to in the last 1 year? Well, I don't have any friend. You know, so you want to be able to connect what you enjoy doing. If you enjoy being alone, you can study to become a librarian.
I don't know why I'm laughing so hard.
Otherwise, if you like technology, then come over and become a programmer, and then you can work in DevOps. In DevOps, you sit alone with codes.
Yeah.
You and codes, you're not with anybody. So if I don't like being in the space of people, just you and codes. Codes can't annoy you. So just be there. All right. And that's it.
So my hopefully this is my final question. So what do you think is the future of project management? What do you think?
I think AI continued. AI is artificial intelligence, by the way. Yeah. Artificial intelligence continue to evolve. So recently we begin to see restaurants which are being served by robots. I think we have full-blown robots, what you call floor hoover, vacuum cleaners that are robots. Beyond just being able to use sensors to navigate the room, they are also connected to your home network, which we say Internet of Things. Okay. So that's more of what we're heading for. So project managers who have worked long in Agile, or new people, new individuals moving newly into project management, can begin to look for build capabilities in that space. So you also build the capability beyond just those artificial intelligence to working with people who build those artificial intelligence. So you find people like DevOps or development operations, for example, people who build software. What do they do? How do they do it? Product development, for example. What do they know? How would your role connect with theirs? And then that can help as a project manager to begin to shape what they learn. For example, I took some learning and credentialing in AI, in deep racing, machine learning, and it was beautiful. And I can use that in with a company that builds driverless cars.
Yeah, okay.
So in that space, you will see how driverless cars perform. So if you were to deliver a project in that space, it helps you understand when you speak to the user, to your stakeholders, not just the users now, even the developers, those who build the machines and all of that, you know what to talk about. I had to do AWS, for example. Yeah. You can catch me learning something like React. React is a programming language you use to build apps on Apple phones. So if you don't know about all of these, you might spend a longer time trying to catch up with those who you work with. And at the back of everything, agile methodology. Yeah. That agile methodology is a big one for project managers today. Lots of projects are moving into that space. That project managers, even though you are, well, I'm a PMP, I'm certified as a project manager, management professional. You want to also understand agile methodology and how that works today, how you can help teams shape their deliveries within a space using sprints.
Yeah, yeah. So, so my final question, is it my final question? So in relation to mothers, yeah, I know you said a lot about mothers. We're celebrating mothers today. And I mean, mothers are the glue of the home. Basically, they do everything. They prepare food. You said it all, right? So you are a husband, you're a father. I know you have siblings. And I know you have other people that you take care of as a man, actually. But in relation to the woman, when it comes to community management, what I mean by community management is outside the nuclear family, into the extended family, into friends, into some other things that you're focused on. Let's say you do stuff for the community, and the woman has no objection but to follow you in doing all those things. Even at the expense of carrying what she's carrying, but because the husband is doing something for the community, because there was something you said one time about kids, something. Somehow, even though you are the one managing that project, your wife somehow is involved in that project, somehow, to make your life beautiful. So I'm not saying anybody that listens, I'm not saying a woman is holding back her dream to pursue that of her husband. Please understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, so in that case, what would you say to that woman trying to support her husband to be the husband of the home, not just within the home, but outside the home, because people look up to this man? I'm using Alfred as a point of contact. So many people we've discussed a lot about people, because you say you do this, people are pursuing that. So that means people sincerely see that you're doing the right thing and they're watching you. So that means people look up to you. So in all this, right, what would you say to a woman that is supporting a man pursuing his dream, a quality man doing what he is supposed to do, and the woman is there moving with that man, at the pace that she doesn't really sometimes cannot meet up with, but she just has to be a wife. So what would you say to that woman? It's not just you, because there are so many men out there like you, but what would you say to that woman supporting their husbands to be what they want to become?
I think a woman is very special.
Yeah.
The biggest mentors I've had have been women. Biggest ones. Ifeoma Mafeni, for example.
Ifeoma Mafeni, yeah.
Ngozi Adebi, Bemi Atimomo, biggest mentors and friends. Desola.
Oh, Desola
Peters.
Desola Peters, yeah.
Biggest women. The biggest mentors, mentoring I've received and guidance have been women. So everyone, for example, have an opportunity or should have an opportunity to excel beyond their dreams. So if you have a dream, just push it. So men can also and must also support those women to achieve their dreams. That said, can a woman become a project manager? An excellent one. And an excellent one, not just an excellent project manager for that. She can become an excellent project manager. If that comes to what are her aspirations? What does she want? You understand? So if I were to have someone who supports me, I think part of it will be, what do you want for you? I love it that I can give back. So support me, I love that. Let me also support you. What do you want? So you can also help that woman pursue her dream. Some of the time, some people may not have a clear vision of what their goals are, or what they would like, what they admire. You can also help guide them. But as soon as they have one, I show you, in the family now, the man grows with his dreams, and then the woman pursues the dream without any growth in her capability. Now, in supporting the dream, the man's capability is here, the woman's capability is here. You can see my hand. Now, it's continuing to grow. She has none. If it falls, it's going to fall to where she is.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say, you're growing, she's also growing. So where are you falling to?
That same level.
Yeah, that's it. So it's a beautiful thing to have someone support your dream. However, that person must have a dream of their own. If they say they don't have one, it's to guide them to begin to see what interests them, and to build them. It also helps mentally. So anyone who's building their dreams and their goals, they stretch themselves mentally to do so. Whether you're doing something by hand, or you're learning, you're going to read or something. And so they get to learn something new every day. So I think every woman should grow. Every woman should grow without border, without boundaries. And every woman's dream should be supported. If it comes to the home and who should help with the home, everybody should help with the home. So most of the time, as our kids were growing, I had to babysit, for example. I think I do that even a lot more. I would, I don't want to say a lot more than my wife, but I would do that. I just enjoy it. Maybe because, so I could be in meetings and babysit. And it's not a burden. Yeah. And it's just some level of patience that you learn to grab, and you move on with it. And then I learned along the way from those kids as well in their growth. So yes, it's not a good thing. It's not the right approach if I were to use that, if I'm allowed to use that word, to say, well, the husband is growing, so the wife is supporting this dream. Mm-hmm. She must also have a dream. It can help her discover those dreams. They can both work together to raise it up. And part of it is even, take up some learning. Some people want to go to school and say, well, as a way to find my dream is to get to school. But I also say, yeah, cheaper, easier ways to learn. If you go online and look for a way to learn something you admire. At the time, I had to learn pattern drafting. So pattern drafting is how you cut clothes so they take a shape. I learned it for the curiosity of it. And I found that for free on YouTube. So you can find a lot of learning as a woman on YouTube. You can go to Udemy, for example, for about $10. You can buy a training video that takes you into professional learning.
Yeah.
And that could put you in a big space to become a professional.
That's true.
See that? So, and then the big part, look for a mentor. Look for, if you find a mentor has been a good part of my development, do it like this or don't do it like this, would help shaping your judgment.
Yeah.
Or decisions. I hope I got that one.
Yeah, you did. So thank you so much, Alfred. I have learned a lot, not just in this conversation, but in all conversations. Anytime we come on, or we jump on the phone and we talk, there's always something new to pick and add to what I think I know and just progress from there. And today is actually one of those days. I learned about, you talked about motherhood and all that stuff and relationships. Somehow you actually moved it into the conversation, and it made sense because I was going to ask you questions on that anyways. Then you went you touched project management, but I know that you probably want to talk more about that sometime. So, and I know that I said it was going to be the last question. So I will ask you again about your program and the program you organize sometimes based on availability. I know you said it's based on availability. When is the next planned training coming? When is the next planned training coming out or coming forth?
I haven't picked a date yet, but soon as I can, I haven't picked a date yet. I can play my, okay, usually we run that for 7 weeks, Saturdays and Sundays. Each of the days it's 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, because of the availability of the students, we try to, or the professionals, we try to keep that within, at the lowest 3 hours. Yeah. Or at the most, we don't exceed 4 hours. And what that does is we look through the standards, the procedures of project management, the skills, the tools that you need to work as a project manager, and as they align with the PMBOK. The PMBOK is the PM body of knowledge, or the standards that PMI uses to assess project managers, and it covers the scope within project management. And when we review these, we also try to look at what the PMP exam would look like. And it's been 100% success. So when next, I don't have any date at hand, or I can, if I can get a few people committed to it, I can turn around the date within 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
But since it's mostly weekends, we have the materials and they're up to date. We just, what I do is to start up the class, and then we can get through for 7 weeks. So 7 weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, 3 hours at the minimum. We don't exceed 4 hours. So, and then, and that's usually picked at the median of the students' availability. So some prefer nighttime, some prefer early in the mornings. Whichever time they peak, we just make sure we're there. The goal is to ensure that we have more people understand what project management is and are able to deliver projects by the standard.
Yeah. All right. So I promise I won't ask you any more questions.
At any point in time, if I can get some, if we get a few people to with some interest in it, sure, definitely. Yeah. We love to develop people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I guess this will be this is where we end it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alfred, for coming to not just support this platform, basically is to support people, because your idea about wanting to expose people to different forms of learning, and you understand, for them to be informed about life so that they can make their lives better for them and their families, is something that I've noticed for a long time. So it's like a driving force behind you that says, okay, fine, this person must get better. So, so in all our conversations, even today, even though we're talking about project management, I tend to see something bigger than that, more than just the project management thing is just a little thing that you have to offer the world. Because I know there's more, because I know we've talked about so many things. So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you, your wife, and the kids. I hope and pray that I get to see them one of these days. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here. Yeah. Thank you. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much.
All righty.
Viewers, take time, watch when you have the time. So it's not just for us to come in for less than whatever. Anytime anybody has access to the video, watch it and learn, because it doesn't just apply to our time, it also applies to, in the nearest future. So thank you so much, Alfred. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
All right, then. Bye.